Would you like to save yourself a huge amount of time, money and frustration and guarantee the success of your marketing efforts? Well, in this training, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. You're going to learn a simple process to gather a list of products and services people desperately need and will pay money for. The same process will enable you to collect powerful sales copy to use on your sales pages, Facebook ads, emails, and other marketing materials. And the same simple process will help you to build an email list of people to sell to, even before you have a product or have ever written a blog post. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Well, what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to set up a market research survey for free with Google Forms. I'm going to show you the 3 questions that are pretty magic questions that are going to getting some incredible responses. I'm going to show you how to distribute the survey to get the responses and how to analyze the survey. So there's nothing more powerful in marketing than intimately understanding a customer's pain points and desires. And this is what this process is going to enable you to do. This is going to save you a huge amount of time, because you wouldn't believe the amount of people who say to me, you know, I'm disappointed my Facebook ads didn't work. And I say, well, did you address any pain points? Did you address any of their desires? I take a look, none of that's there. And so you got to understand that as step 1, even before you write a blog post, even before you do a Facebook ad, etc. So I've used this market research process to develop my own products and services, and you can too. I used it for companies I've worked for and for clients. And at the end of this training, you will have this process as part of your toolkit to really hand all that valuable information to them. So let us get started and create that market research survey. Now, the first step in our market research is to create a survey. So what you want to do is go ahead to Google and just type in Google Forms. Now, there are many different tools that you can use for surveys, but personally I have found Google Forms to be the best. It is very simple to use. The built-in analytics are very solid, and you can create unlimited surveys and get unlimited responses for free. So go ahead and type that into Google and then click on through. So the next thing you want to do is go ahead and click create a blank survey. And this will open up, and we just want to give our survey a name. So for me, I'm just going to put in digital marketing survey. So what I suggest you do is put in, whatever your topic is, or potentially your product name or your service name, something simple in there, just to really communicate to yourself and to other people really what the survey is about. And then once you've got that done, what we want to do is add in our first question. So we're going to add in our first question. We are going to make this a short answer. And what you want to type in here is the first of our 3 magic questions, which is, what is your biggest problem with? Now, what you want to do here is put in whatever your topic or your niche is. So for example, I'm just going to say digital marketing. Obviously, you want the spelling to be good, so we can change this and tidy it up. Now, you might be thinking, well, that is a pretty simple and obvious question, but actually, the questions that we'll be putting in this survey are extremely strategic. And this first question is designed to identify the problems and the pain points of your potential customers. So that is really going to allow us to identify the pain point, which is critical, because every product or service must first solve a problem that the customer has. Now, the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and actually delete this question that's there by default. And we're going to go and add in our second question. And this time we're going to allow them to be able to write a little bit of a longer response. Now, the second question, which is also extremely strategic, is this. I've just copied and pasted for speed here, But the question is, why would it make a difference in your life to get a good answer for this problem or find a solution for your need? Details, please. So this question, once again, is designed to really get some great answers out of people. And so this question was really designed to identify problems. This question is really to identify the ideal outcome. What does the ideal solution look like? And what are the benefits emotionally and the benefits logically? So these are very important questions, because if we know their pain points and we know what their ideal solution looks like, then all we have to do is create the product or the service that'll take them from where they are now to where they want to be. And all the language here that they say about their problems and pain points and where they want to be is all the language that we can use on our sales pages, in our emails, on our marketing materials, because we can just take the language that people have said to us, use it in our marketing materials, and that will really connect with the potential customers. Now, the third magic question that we are going to add to our survey is a multiple choice question. So this is it here. How difficult has it been for you to find a good answer for the above to date? And we can put in not at all difficult. Oh, we can add in just, we want to add another response, so add option. Somewhat difficult. And very difficult. So this question is extremely important because we want to identify problems that are not well solved in the marketplace. That's how we're really going to get ahead. If they have a problem and they have a solution and it's not at all difficult to find that solution, well, then we're not going to be able to sell anything. So this is a really filtering question, and we want to identify those problems or those outcomes that people have had a real struggle achieving. So we can use this final question as a way to really filter out results, and I'm going to show you my results so this becomes very, very clear. Now, the final question that you might want to add in as a bonus is really this one. So add your email below if you'd like to be contacted when we have a solution to your problem. And what we can just put in here is a short answer once again. So this is the way that with this question, you can build up an email list of potential customers even before you have created the solution or even before you've ever written a blog post or anything like that. So to recap, we have gone through the steps to set up a market research survey with Google Forms for free, and most importantly, the 3 magic questions to ask so that you can identify those products and services that people desperately need, and also get those powerful words and phrases that you can use in your sales copy. Once you've set up your survey, the next step is to share it out and get responses. And I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can distribute your survey and get responses even if you don't have an audience whatsoever. So to send out your survey, you can come up and click on send. And the first way that you can send this out is by email. Now you can just type in some email addresses directly here and send it straight out if you want. If you have an email list and you're using an email marketing tool like MailChimp, you can just write an email, tell your audience, the benefit of filling this out, paste that link in and send that directly from MailChimp or whatever email marketing service you're using. But what if you don't have an audience built up yet? What can you really do? Well, what I would recommend is that you start to look and think about what are the contacts that you already have available to you. And one thing that you can do is go ahead and export your contacts from Gmail or Yahoo or whatever email service you're using for your personal mail. Now, I went ahead and did this recently, and I was shocked to see that I had over 800 emails in my Gmail. Now, am I saying that you should go ahead and just spam everybody in your inbox with your survey? No, I'm absolutely not saying you should do that. What I am saying is once you export your Gmail contacts, you're going to get an Excel sheet full of all of your contacts, and I would go down through each person one by one and say, you know, would this really help them, or would they even know somebody that they could forward this on to? And I guarantee you're going to get 10 to 15 people at least out of your contacts that you can send the email directly to. Now, where else might you have email addresses just from your normal connections that you've made? Well, LinkedIn is another place, and you can export all your connections from LinkedIn. Again, this is going to produce a huge Excel sheet full of people's names, first name, last name, and email address. It's like having your own email list before you even have a website or anything. So once again, I'm not saying you should spam everybody. I'm saying you probably have people in your contacts already on Gmail or LinkedIn that you can send the survey directly out to. And if not, you're going to have at least one person who knows where you should be sending this email to. Maybe they know certain Facebook groups, etc. that you should post in. So that was the first way to share your survey email. Now there is one important point that I want to stress about email, and that is the subject line. You can see by default here, the subject line is I've invited you to fill in a form. Now, how many people do you think are going to open that if they see that in their inbox? Probably none. They're just going to skip on over the email and won't even read it. So that's why the subject line is so critical for emails, because if they don't click to open your email, they're never going to click the link to fill out your survey. So you must write something compelling here in the subject line. Now, if you leave this by default, that's not going to work. Even if you change it to something like, can you spare a few minutes and fill in my survey? That's not going to work either. Why? Because there's no benefit to the customer or the potential customer. Can you spare a few minutes? What's the benefit for me? I'm not going to open that, sorry. So you need to come up with something that's going to get people to open. Now, if you have an audience, something that I've done before is saying, you know, I'm creating new courses for you, or I'm creating a new course, makes it sound even more specific, for you, and I'd love your input. So you can see the benefit here is that I'm creating something for them already, and it's going to be a course, so they know what the product is, and it's for them, and I'm just asking for their feedback. And people will happily give their feedback because they want to solve their own problems, and they're going to help you solve their problems. So there's a clear benefit for them is what I'm trying to say. Now, another thing, that if you don't have an audience, how are you going to catch their attention? Well, I'll tell you one subject line that actually caught my attention very recently. Hey Dara, could I try to solve your problems as an online instructor? So this was actually an email that just someone sent me, and I opened it, and the reason was because they didn't say, can you fill out my survey? They said, could I try to solve your problems? They didn't guarantee that they were going to, and that kind of hints at that they're gathering some feedback. And they specifically said as an online instructor. So they had taken the time to actually figure out what I do, and they want to help solve my problems. And I can tell you, as an online instructor, I have a lot of problems, a lot of things that are difficult to do. And if someone can help me with that, well, then I'm going to open the email. So that is something that you could easily copy and use for whatever your thing is. Hey, could I try to solve your problems to become financially independent? Could I try and solve your problems to, whatever, with Adobe Effects? Whatever it is, you can really copy and paste that in, and I guarantee you're going to get a lot of people opening your email and responding to it. Okay, so that wraps up email as the first way to distribute your survey. I've talked about ways to do it if you have an audience and if you don't have an audience. Now, the next way to collect responses is through social media. Again, if you have an audience, you can just share out the links directly there. And if you don't have an audience, what are you going to do? Well, there is the magic of Facebook groups. So all you want to do is type in your keyword or your topic or your niche in here. So let's just say something like, financial independence. This is something I'm interested in, and come across, and let's look at the groups here. So if I had some sort of solution, or I was a coach that helped people become financially independent, I would be posting my survey into these groups and getting some responses from them. Now, what you can also do is, this really works for any different type of niche, vegans, Dublin vegans. There's thousands of people in these groups. And remember that you'll probably have to join the group. That might take a day or two to get approved. And then once you're in the group, you just want to have a look and check out the group rules. So let's have a look at these for this one. Don't give out personal details, etc. Let's see. So you want to read these rules just quickly for any group, because you don't want to be banned from the group, or you don't want to kind of upset the atmosphere that they've created in there. So some groups, for example, they only allowed you to post links on a certain day. And so you just respect that and wait for that day and post the survey in then. So as well as Facebook groups, there are also groups on LinkedIn. So let's just quickly head over there. And again, it's the same thing that you want to do. Not just put a link to your survey in there and say, fill this out and help me. You want to say, hey guys, I'm curious what your biggest problems are as, say, vegans in Dublin. And, fill out my survey below. I'm happy to share the results, and let's brainstorm some solutions to them. That's something very positive. You're there to help them. And again, you're not just there to really, get their money and run off into the sunset or whatever you want to do. Now, LinkedIn is an opening for me, but it's the very same process over there. Now, let's look at the final way that you can go ahead and get responses to your survey, and that's to use forums. So all you need to do is, once again, go to Google, type in whatever your niche or keyword is, and then just put forum there, and up is going to pop up a lot of forums. This really works for anything, any different niches that you have. You can see there's a lot of them here. Even you can go into Reddit and things like that. And so forums are just another place that you can post your survey and get responses. The people are out there already. And so you might not be able to post it into one Facebook group or one LinkedIn group, or maybe someone will delete your post. That's going to probably happen. But there are thousands of groups across all those three methods that I've showed you. So you are going to get responses to your survey if you just stick with it. So to recap, we've looked at 3 different ways to distribute your survey even if you don't have an audience. Email. So to recap, we've looked at 3 different ways to distribute your survey and get responses even if you don't have a survey. And we talked about some tips and tricks in terms of really getting responses, and that's your subject line and the way that you post it into those different social media groups. Now, once you have distributed your survey, the next step is to analyze the responses. And you can analyze them right here inside Google Forms. Just click over to the responses tab and you can see the different responses to your questions, plus any email addresses that were submitted. So you can analyze them here, and this can be fun to look at as the responses are coming in. But what I would recommend you do is wait and see when the responses stop coming in. You'll notice that because this number stops going up, and that'll probably be 1 to 2 days depending on how much you've promoted the survey. So to look at it in a deeper level and really analyze it, I would recommend you view the responses in Google Sheets. Open that up right away. And the first thing that you want to do is select the top row here, and what you want to do is really put on a filter. Now, the reason you want to do this is because we want to filter down our responses and really just look at the responses that say people have a problem that they found very difficult to resolve. Now, why are we doing that? Well, remember, if we want to create a successful product or service, or even a piece of content like a blog post or a video, we need to be solving problems that are not well solved in the marketplace. And that's why we really want to focus on this. And you can see if we scroll down here, just to the third response to give you a visual, we can see that around 40% of the answers, people said it's a very difficult problem for them to solve. So by just filtering that there, we have removed 60% of the problems that people don't think are that important or not that hard to solve. And we're just focusing on 40%, which for this survey is about 80 responses as opposed to over 200. So it just makes it easier to analyze it as well. Now, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and open up a different tab here. You can just add that like that. What we're going to do in this tab is just write down problem and why, resolve it. So these are the two important things that we want to get out of this survey when we look at it. We want to know what the problem actually is and why it's going to be important for them to resolve it. So that'll really come from these two columns. So let's just go and have a look at it here. So, okay, not every response is going to be perfect, so you're going to just have to go through one by one, down through them and pick them out. So let's see the problem here. What's your biggest challenge? Can you show me the most direct path towards getting a minimal viable product in the marketplace? Okay, so that's a great problem to solve. So what we can do is, I always like to frame the problems as like a how-to. I'm going to delete this one I did earlier so we can start fresh. And what we can do is just pop this in. And what I like to think about is, if I was writing this as a course or a piece of content, or like a blog post or a YouTube video, what would the title be? It's always just easiest to start it with how to. So how to get a minimal viable product into the marketplace, let's say in one day, because they're looking for speed. That's what they said in their response here. Oh, let me go back to this tab. Okay, it would save time and aggravation. So that's a benefit. I'm going to close this down actually because I keep clicking back to it. So, you know, why do they want to resolve this? Why would they buy our product or read our blog post? It's to save time and aggravation. And they're really looking for a streamlined process. So that's another benefit of them maybe buying our product or service or reading our blog post. So get a streamlined process. So you can see already here, just reading one response, what I've got for me is a potential course that I could make, or even a potential section or lecture within a course, a potential blog post, a potential YouTube video that is tailored to my audience and that would really resolve a problem that they have. What are some of the benefits that I could mention at the start of that video or course, or put on the sales page or in a Facebook ad? Look, this is going to save you time and aggravation. You're going to get a streamlined process to get a minimal viable product into the marketplace in one day. That's a very good pitch and offer, and it resolves a pain point that people have. So that's only one answer. Now let's go down and have a look. Okay. What we can do again, same process. I'm just going to do 3 of these to give you examples of what you should be looking out for, and then obviously your responses are going to be different. So how to obtain a client's trust, I guess, as a digital marketer is really what they're asking here. And why would they want to do this? You know, grow your business steadily. That's why they want to resolve this, because they think trust is a big barrier to signing clients. And that's true. How can you get them to trust you? They're going to hand over money and access to, you know, their analytics or whatever. So this is a big barrier for a lot of people. How do you overcome that? That could be a great lecture or a course or a blog post or whatever. Could be a great piece of sales copy on a course or Facebook ads. So again, you just copy and paste. This is why this process is so beautiful and powerful, because there's very little work for you to do once you start to analyze it. So let's have a look here. This looks interesting. How does voice search affect SEO? This could be something interesting. You know, how to benefit from voice SEO maybe. Or how to rank #1. From voice SEO on mobile, let's say, for example. So I'm just thinking about, you know, what does the how-to look like to resolve that problem? And why would they want to do this? You know, leverage voice SEO to get to the leverage voice SEO. Now, why to get free traffic to your site? So you can see I'm using what I'm hearing from the customer here and adding how, you know, putting my spin on why they would want to do that. And this allows me, just looking at 3 responses, to find products and services that people desperately need and will pay money for, and also gather powerful sales copy that I can use on my sales page, in Facebook ads, in emails, and other marketing materials. So that is the process to analyze your survey results in order to find those product ideas and get that powerful sales copy. Would you like to gather valuable feedback from potential customers without even needing to send out a survey? I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do this, and this will really solve this market research problem for you. If you feel that you can't send out a survey, it just isn't something that your audience would fill out. So if you're thinking that this lecture is for you and you're going to have no more excuses. So the first way to get feedback is actually just go ahead and talk to somebody. Yes, as scary as it seems, talking to people can just be the most effective way to get feedback. Now you can call people up or you can meet people in person, but the key thing I want to say is that the questions that you'll be asking them are the same questions that we have in our survey here. So this is basically a script for you to do your market research. For example, I was talking to somebody recently. I said, hey, what's the biggest single problem you have with your business? And he said, well, I've got 18 employees and managing them is a really difficult thing to do. And he said, I asked him, well, what difference would it make if you had a good solution to managing your employees? And he said, well, it would be fantastic. I could really focus on the higher level things in my business rather than managing them and being almost a therapist to them, which is the opposite reasons why I hired them in the first place. I hired them to get rid of tasks, outsource things. And then I asked him, well, how difficult has it been for you to really manage your staff more efficiently? He said it's been very, very difficult. I've hired even a staff manager, but then they hire somebody who's poor and then I have to fire them. So I'm not getting away from this problem. So that is a pretty serious problem. And if I could develop a solution for him, like maybe having a more defined hiring process, characteristics of people they're looking for, a culture within the company that's defined, that would be extremely valuable to him, so he could hand that to his hiring manager and there's going to be something consistent. Similarly, I could say, what's your single biggest problem in your personal life? He could say, well, you know what, I've got a 5-month-old baby and she doesn't sleep at night. Well, what difference would it make? Well, if I could sleep, I'd be less stressed at home, wouldn't fight with my wife, I'd have more energy for work, and I could get better results. Well, that's a pretty, good outcome. And then how difficult that has been? Very, very difficult. We've tried different books, different online courses, sleep training. It's difficult. So if I can develop a solution that would solve that problem for him, There's some very clear urgent pain points, some very positive outcomes. So if I can do that, well, I'm going to do pretty well and sell a lot of my course or product or whatever. So that's number one, talking. Remember, you have the script. Now, the second way that you can gather feedback without needing a survey is to come into a Facebook group that you have joined that has your target audience within it. Come down into the search bar here, and you're going to search for some specific words that are really going to highlight some pain points of the people in this group. So for example, complaint is a word that you will see. I've seen complaints here about early requests for reviews. Now this is a group for Udemy instructors, and basically it's not important for you to know what the problems are, but this has surfaced up a lot of problems that these people have. Blurry video screens, that's kind of Udemy's technical problems. The early review system, that's Udemy's kind of system, and instructors aren't happy with it. So if I could design a way, or at least inform these instructors of how to beat that early request for review system, or how to record your videos so that they appear the best, well, I'm going to solve a lot of people's problems, and they're going to pay me, or at least I'll get their attention that I can monetize later on. So that is something you can do. Complaint. Hate is another word that people type in here, you know, that can surface a lot of pain points as well. Bottleneck is another great one as well. Let's see what this surfaces up. But, you know, what's the bottleneck for people in their business? Various bottlenecks. What part of course creation do you hate the most? I hate video editing. So again, we've got that hate word there. We've got 19 comments, people saying what all their pain points are. So that's another good word you can put in. Stress is maybe another word as well. So you can find out what's stressing people out, and that's going to surface up a lot of pain points. Then you can find out, you know, what difference would it make? Well, if I could do video editing faster, I could make courses faster, I could sell more. And how difficult is it? Well, you're going to get a sense of that from reading the comments. So again, keep these 3 questions in mind. Now, the final way that you can gather feedback from potential customers without needing a survey is to really look at review sites and marketplaces. Now, for example, Udemy is an online marketplace with a built-in review system. So if you come down to any course, let's just say game design, click on the first course here. You can see the reviews here, and if you filter down to the 3-star reviews, this usually is good, because 5-star reviews, they're not really complaining about much. 1-star reviews, probably too negative. And really the 3-star reviews are kind of quite balanced reviews. They say some good points and some bad points. So let's just have a quick look at this. The sound could also be made more audible, so that's something there. Introduction. Okay, audio is really low. That seems to be a consistent problem. Poor sound quality. Okay, how to program to skip certain lessons. So you can come down into the reviews and have a look at, you know, what do people not like, and then you can create a product that solves all those pain points and really gives people more what they want. Now, where else do they have reviews? Well, if you had a digital product, you could come to Udemy and you wanted to create a course. If you have a physical product, you can come to Amazon. Built-in review system there, any product in the world. If you had a restaurant or was thinking of setting up a certain type of restaurant, you can come in and search, you know, whatever it is, spas in your area. What are people giving out about? What do they not like? What are the pain points? You can do that for restaurants, hotel. TripAdvisor also has a built-in review system that you can search for the type of business that you are in, and to see what people are giving out about and not happy about. Other thing is for, say, small business, Google has a built-in review system as well. So you can check out, what are people giving out about in these dental places. You can come into the reviews, again, filter them down. Let's just look at the lowest rating and see what are the reasons that people have given this a low review, and that'll give you some ideas of the pain points that people are struggling with. So to recap, in this video, what we have done is look at 3 different ways for you to collect customer feedback even without needing to send out a survey, and that was to just talk to people and use these 3 questions as a script. Number 2 was to go ahead and go into the Facebook groups and search for those keywords like complaint, hate, bottleneck. And the 3rd way is to look at these review sites and marketplaces which just have an absolute huge amount of feedback. Now 99% of new entrepreneurs ignore this, but you've got the information now, so there's no excuse not to get a brilliant insight into the pain points and the desires of your potential customers.